Hello and welcome to the what and why of research. Thank you for joining us on this module. On this module, we're going to cover what is research, formal versus informal research, how to verify research claims, why research is important, types of research, and research methods. Are you ready? Let's go! So when we talk about what is research, right, it's a question a lot of people ask. It is a question that a lot of people don't understand, and so we are breaking it all down on the Reboot online course. So what is research? In a very simplified manner, research can be defined as a search for answers, or solutions. Right? You have a question, you have a problem. In your attempt to go out to answer your question or to solve your problem, you are going to conduct research. Research is also known as an investigation of something. Right? When you start investigating, trying to find out how to do it, how to solve it, how to answer it. So research is a search for answers or solutions, or an investigation into something. And yes, it is that simple, right? The process might involve a lot of things to get to that answer, but the definition of what research is at its core is that simple: a search for answers or solutions. So, for example, if you want to buy a car, but you don't know which car to buy, you're probably going to start asking questions about cars. If you see a car passing along the way and you like it, right, you get the name of the car, you would go to somebody and say, oh, this car I saw, how does it work? What is the engine specification? What is the price? How durable is it? What is the fuel capacity? Those kind of questions help you find answers to what you're trying to do. You're trying to buy a car and you're trying to get answers to know about the car that you should buy, or the best car that you should buy. So in your search for answers, in the process of gathering this information to aid that decision, that buying decision, you are conducting research. So it is as simple as that. You have choices and you can't decide which of the choices to make, right? You can conduct research to help you decide. As a business person, it's the same thing. What products would my customers prefer? You don't know the answer because you are not the customer, but going out into the market to ask them questions, gathering information, or investigating their buying decision is research. But more formally, if we want to go by the dictionary definition, the Oxford Dictionary defines research as the systematic investigation into and the study of materials and sources to establish facts and reach new conclusions. The word systematic is essential here because we are going beyond a simple search and find process to a more organized, orderly, and recognized process of answering questions. So now, when we defined it before, we went for a simplified definition of research. Now we are talking of when you're being more formal. The key word here is systematic investigation. You are following a process, an organized and recognized process that everybody would say, yes, this is how it's supposed to be done. So while we've defined research, we also have to recognize that we have the formal versus the informal aspect of research. Right? So that's what we're going to explain next, and we'll give examples of what formal versus informal research is. So examples of formal versus informal research. Let's say you are trying to research one of the following questions. What plants will flourish in my garden? What assets should I invest my money in? What is the best mountain bike for me? When you think about these questions, do you consider them formal or informal? I know you're probably thinking they are informal, right? Yes, that's correct. They are informal. And the reason they are informal is because they only have to satisfy you. Whatever you decide is for you. You don't have to prove to anybody why you think this plant will flourish in your garden, right? You don't have to prove to anybody why the mountain bike is the best one for you, or what assets you consider investing in, because those things are research that needs to satisfy you. And when you are happy with the answers, you make your own decision. You don't need to convince anybody. But when we are talking now about formal research, if you aim to convince others, in the previous one you're convincing just yourself, but if you aim to convince others now, whether it is to change a policy or a behavior, or give you a good grade as a student, or get a paper published as a researcher or an academic, right, you will need to convince your audience that what you are claiming is justified by the evidence. The evidence being what other people also know as the truth and what the data is showing, right? And it is credible. We'll talk about credibility in a later module. It is credible. When people see it, they can say yes, they know that this has followed a recognized process, right? So for you to achieve this convincing of others, either to change a policy, a behavior, give you a good grade, or get a paper published, you have to follow a formal research process. So that is the distinction that you have to make. You have to follow a formal research process. For example, if you want to convince a government of the effect of climate change and greenhouse emissions on food supply and health outcomes, so that is a very controversial topic, climate change, right? Before anybody can listen to you to make certain decisions in an economy, they have to be sure that you have gathered the data in the right way and that what you are claiming is justified. So it cannot just be something that you come up with on your own. It has to be justified by the evidence. So if we define formal research more, we can define it as something that involves methodical and systematic inquiry to build a new or deeper understanding of the world. Your work cannot be based on unqualified opinion, like I already mentioned. It must stand up to the scrutiny of others. Others will like to know how you gathered your data, what assumptions you made when you analyzed it, and how you arrived at your conclusions. So you need to think about those things when you are conducting research. So there are some questions they would ask to verify research claims, and these are questions you also need to be asking when you are trying to verify the research claims of others. How believable are these research findings? Can I trust them? How can I be sure the researchers did not falsify these claims or coerce participants to respond in a particular way? Are the data collection methods appropriate to the problem being solved? What biases, prejudices, or conflicts of interest might have swayed the way information was collected or interpreted? So these are just some questions that you can use to verify research claims. And if you are happy with the answers, then you go ahead. But if those questions are, I don't trust these people, well, they are trying to put out this for their own personal gain, there's conflict of interest, they are biased towards this this topic, or they have not used the right data. This is not the correct data you're supposed to use to answer this type of questions, that you're using data on humans to answer questions on animals. So when the answer to these questions are not positive, they are not showing that this research has been done properly, you begin to question the result of that research. And that is why we need to know what the processes we need to follow in conducting research. And these are things that can be learned over time, right? As you begin to learn how to do research, you learn about the processes and the methods that are needed to do it in the right way. So your research must adhere to standard practice. The integrity of your research will be rigorously questioned. Your defense relies on you knowing about and adhering closely to practices and conventions accepted worldwide in the research community. You can see the picture that we have here, how she's trying to look closely. So this is just telling us that there are people who would look closely into your research to be sure that you have not falsified anything and that it is adhering to strict practice. Next, we want to ask the question, why is research important? Research is important because we need research to contribute to a discipline. That is one. We also need research to inform decisions. I think we mentioned this previously as well. So as a discipline, to improve that discipline or to contribute that discipline and to keep innovating within that discipline, research is very important. And that is why we see a lot of research in the academic setting, because for that discipline to keep improving, for that discipline to keep growing, they continually conduct research. The way science was taught 20 years ago is not the same way science is being taught today. There are more tools, more applications, there are different ways of doing things now, and those things have only come about through research. So that discipline of science has grown as a result of continually researching new and better approaches to conducting that discipline. We also do research to inform decisions. As a business person, as an individual, as an organization, research helps you inform decisions. As a government, to make policies, to know whether to increase funding on child mortality issues or to increase funding in the education sector, we need research to make those decisions. So like we already said, quality research allows us arrive at informed decisions and make dreams that at first seemed impossible become a reality. It allows us to present convincing arguments, to influence the way others see the world by producing an evidence-based rationale that has the power to instigate change. This sounds like a very wordy statement, but we had already talked about this before. For you to be able to cause people to make change, you have to conduct research that can allow you influence their decisions. Okay, so pause and think about the importance of research. Let's stop for a moment and consider the power of research to generate change, solve problems, and lead innovation. When you reflect on the way research has contributed to society's progress, people's lives, and well-being, what comes to mind for you? I want you to stop and think about it. Just think about it, right? What can you see around you that you can link to research or how research has changed the world? I want you to stop and think about it for a second. Everything around you has been developed mostly through research. Someone had an idea, tried it out, asked questions, refined it, improved it, and put it out there as a product or an innovation. In medicine today, the drugs we take, the injections, the treatments, they have all evolved through research. It's with technology, with newer practices, which have all been developed through research. So research is not just a sector or a field or something for one group of people. It is a concept that people recognize that this is how we can keep improving, by learning, by researching. So that is something I want you to reflect on, that helps you think about how important this thing called research is. It's not just as a job or a career, but more about the life that we live, how we humans are being able to adapt in this world that we currently live in. So that is the importance of research. In the next video, we will continue on this topic about the what and the why of research, as already outlined in the module outline at the beginning of this video. So see you on the next video.